Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so because I was up at 3 a.m., I went to sleep after I ate breakfast, and I just woke up and turned up my phone, looked at everything that was there, and saw something that prompted me to this basketball conversation right here. Bradley Beal's going to be reevaluated in 3 weeks for his strained back. And I looked in the comment section, and most people are just saying KD can't catch a break. That's basically the sentiment. KD can't catch a break. And, to be honest with you, man, we pay for what we pay for, man. Honestly, when you want a super team, you leave a perfect team, literally the perfect team in Golden State, and you want to form a super team in places where success is not found, you're going to find no success. I mean, I don't know if people want to see it that way, but that's kind of what KD has done here, man. He wanted to go to Brooklyn. And when is the last time Brooklyn ever won anything? I don't think they have. They went to the finals twice in a row in San Antonio, and of course the Lakers took care of him back when Jason Kidd was playing. That's before a lot of people were even born. Now we're looking up, and he wants to move on from the Nets to go to the Suns. When was the last time the Suns won anything? They have never won anything. So when they go to put something together, guess what it's going to be? Likely not very good. And so they put together a team. I thought, I liked what they did around the three players. The problem is the three players they got, they can't count on to stay healthy. So why in the world would they do that? Booker has had his injury issues. KD is older in his age right now. And Bradley Beal's injury prone. He's been injury prone. And on top of that, when you acquire his contract, you realize he has a no trade clause on it, which means that it's going to be worth 1/10 of what it actually would otherwise be. So you can't move Bradley Beal's contract. Nobody in their right mind is going to take that. Maybe the Golden State Warriors for Chris Paul, but the Chris Paul thing, I think they're working that out. I mean, they should be willing to move over for Chris Paul, but not for a contract like Bradley's. Now, if I'm Golden State, especially when you see Chris Paul still strong enough to keep Chet Holmgren from backing them down in the paint, which I thought was just, I understand lower center of gravity, and Chris Paul has old man strength. He's been in the league for a long time, been lifting for a long time. But that's pathetic. I'm just going to say it. That's pathetic. You should be able to shoot over him even if you can't necessarily back him down. You should still be able to turn a jump hook and shoot over him. He's half your height, Chet. I don't understand this. But nevertheless, that's not the conversation. The conversation is KD. And now I'm looking at KD and I'm saying, this is the bed you made. That don't necessarily mean it's time to lay in it. I think at this point, Kevin Durant is likely going to be in a good position to request away from Phoenix and get his request granted. And the reason why I say that is because the Phoenix Suns should probably be looking to trade KD. You can't trade Bradley Beal. That's the point. The no trade clause makes it so that you're getting nothing for him. You're not trading Booker because Booker is your franchise. He's the guy that you drafted. He's the guy that's turning into a Hall of Famer in your uniform. He's the guy who has been here through all the ups and downs. KD is the guy who still has value. KD is the guy who needs to win now. KD is the guy you cannot win with right now. If I'm KD, I'm gonna look at this and say, I don't really have any seasons to throw away. Not this season, not next season, the season after that. Don't know what the future holds for a guy at this age. Obviously still had some game left, but if he continues on this path without adequate teammates, he's going to get injured and he's going to take years off of his career. If I'm him, I'm getting out of there right now. And if I'm Phoenix, I'm obliging him right now. I'm moving him. I'm moving him right now. I'm not going to wait to find out if Bradley Beal could come back in 3 weeks and they could turn this thing upside down and around and make it better. Because at the end of the day, it's not about that. It's about the journey to that point. When you make KD continue to play the way he started this season, where he's the only guy down there scoring anything, you're gonna lose him to injury. So it's not about whether or not I think the Phoenix Suns, if everybody stays healthy, Bradley Beal comes back, and can they make the playoffs and all that. That's all cool. That's well and good. But they're in a situation, like I said, similar to the Memphis Grizzlies, where if you're gonna miss 25 games with your best players, why not just tank? Now, I know Phoenix may not actually have their picks because I think their picks probably go somewhere else or something like that. But just the same, You can't have KD losing value on your team. You got to try to get some recoup for his value before he does return to a space where his well, not return to, but start going down the path of not being valuable anymore, which could be possible very soon if you wear him down this season. He holds great superstar value right now, and you could trade him for picks. You could trade him to the Knicks right now for about 4 picks and a couple players. I think that's a good move. I think that's a very good move. You could trade him to San Antonio for a couple picks and a couple players. I think that's a very good move. Utah, picks and players, very good move. Because at this point, if you let him go down the path of retirement in your uniform, and Bradley Beal continues with his bad back, injury-prone ways, which he's always had his entire career, and that no trade clause that ain't going to garner you anything in regards to returning for him if you decide to move him, KD's the only thing that you can legitimately move and get anything really for without having to give up Devin Booker. Now, if you want to trade Devin Booker, go ahead. That would be stupid as hell because Devin Booker is the younger of the 3 stars. This is what it is. And he is your franchise. He's why you did all of this, so you could keep him. So if you move KD, you can retool around him and keep him in a position with Bradley Beal to have more teammates to work with that can make them better, or at least a future with a bunch of young stars so that you do have to move on from anybody. You got a future with those picks. Right now, I don't think you have those picks. I'm certain you don't. And if this stays the way it is, Devin Booker's going to be the one that likely is going to want out. And then you're really going to be left with nothing. You're going to be trading him for picks and trading KD for picks and blowing the whole thing up. And that ain't necessary. When all you got to do is move KD for the picks, you stuck with Bradley Beal's contract, which means when Bradley comes back, if you can get him to a space where he's strong again, you got Booker and Beal and whatever you get in the KD trade that can ultimately make you much more valuable as a team. That should be the move. That should definitely be the move. The Phoenix Suns ownership has proven that they make brash decisions, quick, not brash, is not the word, bold decisions. Going to get KD alone was bold. Going to get Booker was bold. So they make bold moves. This is when you stop the bleeding. You stop the bleeding. Maybe you trade KD for a younger star so that Booker can have a legitimate running mate if you want to do the 3-star thing, because KD's not going to be that. And so that's what I'm here to tell y'all. If it were possible to move Bradley Beal for a good return, if he wasn't on that no trade clause, this conversation changes a little bit, because now I'm like, all right, you get him healthy and by the trade deadline, you trade him. But ain't nobody going to want that no trade clause, man, not attached to this player, not with him having these back issues. And so that's what the Suns probably would be wise to do to keep themselves from being in no man's land, man. To keep themselves from being in no man's land. Because what you have seen is that trio play a game and a half. I don't even think they've played a full game. Maybe they played one full game together. And with the role players that they have, it's proven that they're not good enough team to really compete with just Booker and KD. They don't have it. The pieces that they have aren't valuable, and they're not meant to play without all 3 of the stars. They're not meant to. So you could trade some of them dudes, but you're just gonna get back the same value. What you need is a huge return for Kevin Durant that can bring you multiple young assets. As we always say, we've been talking about this type of thing with a lot of teams for many years. Multiple assets that you can retrade or that can come into your uniform, like Ayton, like Booker, and turn into who you want them to be as natural-born Phoenix Suns. That is exactly what the Phoenix Suns need right now. And if they don't see it that way, then they're going to go down the path of being even worse than what they've always been. Because at this point, now you can see a path where Booker's going to want out. And if he were to demand out somewhere down the road, you don't get the value for him. You stuck to a Bradley Beal contract, as I said, with a no-trade clause and a player's injury to prone all the damn time. And the KD right there, who probably wants to win now anyway, and would love to be in a win-now situation and could probably go to any team and help them get there. So it's no reason for him to still be sitting there. Not after this diagnosis of Bradley Beal is going to be missing half the damn season. Now, 3 weeks, reevaluated in 3 weeks, with a back problem that's lingering, has been lingering since the damn preseason. and their team is already below 500 and can't seem to beat some of the better teams in the Western Conference. Can't even beat San Antonio. No, man. Nah. At some point in time, you got to look at what you have, see what's the most valuable of what you have, and then try to get something for it so that that value can be in place in multiple assets. Because it's only stuck in one guy in KD. And trust me, you keep running him out there with what you've been running him out there with, and he's going to go down with injury. And he's going to be worth less if that injury's too bad because he's in his 30s. Not to mention he ain't going to be happy because he's not going to be winning. Now, players love to be in denial about these type of things. We can win. We can win. We don't need Bradley. We'll be back in 3 weeks. We'll be fine. But that's not what the management's supposed to be thinking. Players can think whatever they want. Management needs to look at what they have and see it long-term and short-term and mid-term. You got to see all of that. And what I see for the Phoenix Suns is a team with no picks. Player that they would like to see retire in their uniform in Devin Booker, who's only 29, something like that, 28 years old, who would likely be best to get the hell away from y'all if you want to go down this path with the no-trade clause back guy and the guy who's old. He could do better elsewhere. He could go play with Wembanyama. He could go play in New York with a bunch of young guys. He could go play anywhere in the league and be happy. He could go play with the Lakers. You know what I mean? There's a lot of different things Devin Booker could do. Rather than sit here with you with a super team that ain't super. It would be in everybody's interest to start talking about moving Kevin Durant right now. I really believe that. And you start fielding calls for him right now. And if you see something that you like, you move him. You move him. You move him. And because Bradley Beal ain't worth jack in this market. He ain't worth jack. I cannot stress it enough. If he would waive that no trade clause completely and get that crap off of his contract, then we could start talking about moving him for good value. So that might be my move. Is try to negotiate that out of his contract if at all possible. That's what needs to happen. And he don't need it anyway. Well, you want to be stuck to Phoenix? I mean, having a no-trade clause keeps you from being traded somewhere you don't want to go. So let's be clear about that. He can always say, I waive my no-trade clause. But what needs to happen for the betterment of the Phoenix Suns franchise is that they get that crap out of their contract with him. That needs to come out. Then you can trade it for something that somebody would want because nobody's going to want that in his contract. They may want him. Sacramento wanted him. But, I mean, I don't know. You trade him for Malik Monk and Kevin Huerter or something like that. If I'm Sacramento, I'm not doing that anymore. Not with him having these issues. So that's the problem, man. That is the big problem. That was always the problem with acquiring Bradley Beal's contract. It was the no trade clause that Washington gave to him when they thought they were giving him the keys to the car. It was a bad thing for anybody to have attached to a player that's injury prone all the damn time. It's only a few players that should have no trade clauses, man. Bradley Beal was never one of them. KD ain't got a no trade clause, and that's another reason why you can move him for peak value. KD's still a guy who teams probably believe can win the championship with him if he comes to their team. If he goes to, let's just say he goes to Denver, second straight championship. If he goes to Minnesota, even though they don't have the value obviously, but if he was to add to that team, maybe instead of Rudy Gobert, championship caliber thing. You move him anywhere, man. Put him on the Rockets. Take a couple of them young players from the Rockets, put them on the Rockets next to Fred VanVleet and Alperen Sengun. They're going to be a championship caliber team. So it's not too many places Kevin Durant can't go. Send him back to Golden State. Championship caliber team. So it's like, that's the reality of it for him. If he wants to win a championship, there's not going to be a shortage of places he can go to win that or to at least be in a position to win that. The problem is, Phoenix ain't one of them. Phoenix, the team he's on, is not one of them. So that's where we at with that, man. Bradley Beal missing 3 weeks. We already 1/3 into the season or whatever this is. The play-in tournament's almost behind us, or the in-season tournament's already halfway through or whatever you want to call that. I know a lot of people are saying, but you're pushing the gas too early. It's too early. No, but I know how this goes, man. When you watch 30-plus seasons in the NBA, you know how this goes. There are things that you can wait on based on your timeline sensitivity, and there are things you cannot wait on based on your timeline sensitivity. And KD and his timeline and the value for which he holds as he continues to age and as it can decrease based on wear and tear is not something that you want to play with. See, that's the problem. It's wear and tear. You're leaning on him more because a 30-point score is now being removed from the equation. That is going to affect him this season. He's going to wear down as an older guy. So that's what needs to be really, really sunk in for all the Phoenix people who are trying to assess what I'm saying and trying to see if it makes sense. He's going to have to run out there for another 60 games or more with one of those two stars likely not being on the floor. And how long can he stay healthy with that being the case? With the teammates that he has who don't score the ball like that. Gordon's older, Watanabe's solid. You know what I mean? These guys are cool, but they're not valuable enough for Bradley Beal to be going down and then picking up the slack that he's missing. And with Booker in and out of the lineup himself, in and out, because y'all been leaning on him so damn much, it's on KD to try to stay healthy, drag the team. And while he may be up for the challenge, the team should not be up for the risk. They should not be up for the risk. And that's the point. So if you want to salvage your season, I don't know that you can do that, Phoenix. But if you want to salvage Devin Booker's ability to win big, you got to move the old guy, man. You got to move the old guy, and you got to see that as something that you do now. I've seen too many times where teams wait too long to make the decision that'll help their situation, and as it tumbles forward, they end up regretting it. This is one of those. I'm making phone calls today, and if I like a deal, we got to move him. It ain't that we want to move him. It's nothing that he's done wrong or nothing. It's just that the sensitivity of him being in his mid-30s, coupled with the fact that he's a superstar who will likely find himself unhappy if he can't win, coupled with the fact that Booker is also a superstar who will find himself unhappy if he can't win, and you can't move Bradley Beal because of the no-trade clause, it's just too much. It's too much, Phoenix. It's too much, and I'm telling you, as a Laker fan, I know that Frank Vogel can give you good stuff, and I also know Frank Vogel can check out. He checked out on the Lakers. The stuff he was putting on the floor didn't make no sense near the last season of his tenure with us. It was just like, he checked all the way out. And so what I'm telling you is, with them role players, and KD, Bradley Beal being hurt, and all these different things, you're likely going to want to fire him when you start seeing some of the decisions he makes in those situations. Just being honest. And so, a very savvy and foresight-having GM is going to do something about what they're seeing here. And being that you can't move Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant's the one that's going to be out, in my opinion, unless you want to move Booker. And I just don't see how you move the culture. He's the culture. KD's just a guy coming in supposed to help him win. He's the culture, and KD still has value. So I hope I've explained my point of view very well. I don't expect Phoenix to do this. Teams don't usually like doing stuff like this, but they also end up suffering, not being very good, and this is why. And we see it all the time. Some teams are just destined to suck. It's because of the decisions not only that they make, but their inability to undo mistakes quickly. And so that's pretty much my point of view, man. I'm a Laker fan. You know, I don't have anything good to say about the Phoenix Suns as a rival. If y'all want to suck, it makes my Western Conference that much more palatable for my team, so I'm cool with that. But Kevin Durant should not be wasting away in the Valley of the Sun when they can't keep Bradley Beal on the floor, nor can they move him. BDL 44, I thank you all for watching. I'm out.